Oh man, that's some soothing music right there. Yeah. Welcome to Skrill Town Talk. I'm your host, Mr. Skrill Town himself, and tonight we have the international piano composer Kiki Cubb. How are you?
Meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I'm excited about having you on tonight. Been waiting for this for a while. You've done a lot, and I appreciate your time on this Sunday evening.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So, and how's that weather out there? What's the temperature
Uh,
roughly?
today was definitely not a day to garden and do outdoors activity. It rained all
Oh,
day,
it
but
did.
yep, pretty much. Yep, yep. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
but
on a rainy day,
we had very good weather a couple of days ago, so that's Maine.
right, right. That's what I was like on a rainy day in Maine. That's nice and soothing and calming. So yeah, we appreciate your time today. And for the people, the viewers that are tuning in, appreciate your time as well. Let me get right into it and let you know a little bit about Kiki Cubb. She is an international composer who began studying piano in France at the age of 9. She continued to study music until her late teens. Classically trained, she moved to the United States, and due to the day to day demands of life, she was distracted from her passion of composing music for some years. More recently, a tragedy prevented her from playing on her 100-year-old Steinway for 3 years. After resuming playing, and as a healing process, she discovered a newfound passion for composing. Today, Kiki lives in Maine, spending time with her family, friends, and her beloved dog Max, Charlie, and Chloe, and sharing her music with the world. And then also, it looks like she has a couple of songs out, and I don't know if they're instrumentals or not, but it says boasting more than 12 million YouTube views. Kiki has released multiple singles as well as an EP, "Chasing the Dream." So yeah, you doing your thing, Kiki. Yeah,
Yes,
12 million. That's
yes.
ooh,
Trying my best.
wow.
Yeah. I started
So
releasing in 2019, so yeah,
uh huh.
yeah.
Wow. So okay, so tell us a little bit about how you got started and what made you want to become a piano composer.
Um, I so my mother was a pianist, also a classically trained pianist. She was actually much better at classical music playing than
Ooh.
I was.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one who pushed me when I was 9 years old to learn the piano. Uh,
Yeah.
and so from the age of 9 to 18, I had a private tutor.
Mm.
I had a lesson every week, and then when I left France to
Mm-hmm.
move to United States, I was always always wanted to do my own thing. So
Okay.
at first, I didn't have a piano. I had a keyboard. So I was messing up with the keyboard, and I kept creating and creating music, but never did anything with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for some years, did other things, and then I mentioned in my bio, we can go a little bit more. I can explain a little more the tragedy that I went through.
Absolutely.
Um, yep. So about 6 years ago, just before I started, 3 years before I started as a professional composer,
Mm-hmm.
my house burned down.
Ooh.
Uh, I lost some pets that I had. I had pet burns. I lost them in a fire.
Mm,
Thank God my dog survived, but for 2.5 years, not knowing w- what would happen, I lived in a trailer
mm-hmm,
with three dog, uh, and then I was extremely fortunate that the piano that I had acquired a few years before, that Steinway, 100 years old Steinway,
mm-hmm,
now I could
mm-hmm.
be 110 years old, believe it or not.
Mm,
It was spared because it was in one part of the house that didn't get, the fire didn't get to it, but it had some soot damage, some water damage. So it
mm-hmm.
was put away. It was given to professional people who cleaned it and stored away for literally almost 3 years. I was de-
Mm,
I was completely deprived of playing unless I would go to some household where they would have a piano. I didn't play. I was just artistically, I was dying inside. I
yeah.
couldn't wait to get my piano back. And then
Uh-huh.
finally, I got my piano back. I think it was in February of 2019. And
Mm-hmm.
within 2 or 3 weeks, out of nowhere, I started composing one new piece after another, after another.
Mm,
And then the fire was burning again. I just couldn't wait. Every day, the first thing I was doing early in the morning before anything else was put my hands on my Steinway and mess up with it. I was so happy
right.
to have it back. When you're a musician and you don't have your instrument, it's like a part of you that is, you're not 100% whole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I said, what do I do with all of that? And one of my very, very close friend who actually has recorded twice
Mm-hmm.
um, on my pieces, or three times actually now, she said, oh, Kiki, you always tell me, you have this new piece, that new piece. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna sit and you're gonna play that music to me.
Mm,
And so I started playing the music. And as soon as I finished a couple of pieces, she said, Kiki, you have to record that music. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, people need to hear your music.
right.
That's how it started. I got access to
Mm,
the recording studio, and the rest is history. I never stopped. I never looked back. That was it.
really? Okay, okay. And what part of France are you from?
The northern part of France, which explains why I have this little kind of like a people. I guess I sound a little bit like people who are German.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. That's why I was asking. Okay, because yeah.
that's because I come from. I was born near the Belgian border, so the northern
Oh,
part of France. Yeah,
nice, nice.
yeah.
And how has music evolved from that part of France, from the time that you grew up to now? Because and the only reason I'm asking this is because I actually managed an artist from France for quite some time,
Yeah,
and she was from the Paris side, but I
yeah.
know she had a lot of issues in the beginning with music out there, and as a woman, and a woman artist. So how have things evolved and transitioned into how it is
Uh,
today?
so it's funny when sometimes I get comment from people who they can tell that I have classical training, in the way I compose music. My idol in music all combined,
Hmm.
pop, jazz, you name it. My
Hmm.
idol is Rachmaninov. I
Hmm.
wish I wish I was living 100 years ago when he was alive before he passed away, and I could have seen him play one of these piano concerto. I am literally obsessed with his music. The concerto number two is in my head very
Hmm.
often, and so that was a huge. My mother was basically playing the romantics. She was playing Tchaikovsky,
Mm.
Rachmaninoff, Chopin, Liszt. all of those composers. So I was just surrounded by that music when I grew up. So it's part of me. I can't, I compose the way I compose because of that. I Most of my pieces are,
Hmm.
they emotionally charged, like,
Right.
and that's because of that. But
Hmm.
my composing has evolved. When I go back to what I created in 2019, as every composer, you just evolve. Your music evolves. You want
Yeah.
to do more. I
Hmm.
don't. I'm not rejecting what I did
Hmm.
5, 7 years ago or 6 years ago, but I've moved on. It's just, I'm not satisfied with what I did. I want to do more. I want to,
Want to do more? Yeah.
I'm always learning new combination, with the left hand. And this is actually why I took drums, believe it or not.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, I started doing drums because my producer is on this recording studio and he's also a drummer. And
Mm.
he said, maybe you should take some drum lesson. It will help you with your left hand to do more. And
Hmm.
that's how I did that. So yeah, my music has evolved. Definitely evolved.
Yeah.
And now that I compose mainly for music, for licensing sync music, for music placement in movie and TV, it's a
Hmm.
total different ballgame. You have
Yeah.
to compose differently because you have to fit a demand. I was a free spirit kind of composer until
Hmm.
this, where I compose whatever inspired me, whatever came out of my fingers. That's what I
Hmm.
compose. Now I have to put my brain into gear, and kind
Yeah.
of analyze what they want and deliver
Hmm.
what they want.
Yeah. So how hard? I've had a few sync composers on the show, and I've asked this question, and I'm gonna ask you the same one. How hard is it, or how easy is it to get your music licensed or synced for TV and film?
It's a long process. I have not placed my music yet. It's
Hmm.
been submitted to a movie last fall. It's been submitted um, to some Netflix project.
Hmm.
You competing with so many people. The problem with licensing sync, it's not necessarily you're not rejected. You don't have to take it personally. It's
Right.
Your music is not picked up because it makes sense. The people who, let's say that, this is a Netflix series, and it's a drama, and it takes place here, blah blah blah. The people, the producer, and the people who are doing that series, and the people who are in charge of finding the right music,
Hmm.
they have specific needs. They usually very very precise on what they want, and actually they give you a reference of music that they want, similar music to that music. So
Yeah.
it takes, it's different because now you have to listen to that music. You don't want to copy because you are your own your own composer, your own artist, but
Hmm.
you have to fit in a piece you create what they want. You have to kind of to have the same feel. So
Right.
and there are so many. I'm actually having fun, to tell you the truth, because now starting to compose dark tension, what they call tension pieces,
Hmm.
and it's a total new thing for me. I did sad emotional pieces before, but now
Hmm.
I have to use a software. That's another thing that you have to learn to do when you do licensing sync music. You cannot just do one instrument because you have to do the orchestration. And if you
Oh.
don't have access to studio musician or an orchestra, then you have to use a software to do that. So it's a whole new learning process. You have to learn to create music a total different way.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, see, that's just continuing education. It sounds like,
Yes.
yeah, it's like you can't get complacent. The world's always changing. People's needs and demands are always changing. So yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't. I That's the first time I've heard anything about using a software as far as sync and licensing. I've never and I've interviewed several sync composers, but I've never heard them mention that. So
Well,
yeah.
think about it this way. Think about
Mhm.
me. I am a pianist. Basically, beside the drums, which I'm not an expert at, I can play the
Mhm.
drums, but I'm a pianist. That's all the instrument I play. So if I want to compose a piece, like
Mhm.
I had a brief. A brief is, if people don't know, watch the podcast, they don't know what a brief is. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a a sheet of paper that tells you, what the music,
Like the
what kind of
descriptors.
music the people are looking for, how long it
Mhm.
needs to be, the feel, and all of that, the tempo, all of that. Well, if they want a piece with guitar and heavy drums, I'm never going to be able to deliver anything because
Yeah.
I don't, I have access to an orchestra, whatever, so necessarily don't have access to a drummer because
Mhm.
also what people don't realize is the deadline is very often short. You don't
Right.
have weeks and weeks. So you have to you got to so this is the only way you can do it. And actually, what's amazing about, I'm using a software called Reason 12. There are many different, there are Pro Tool, there are many different Cubase, different software people can use. But what's fantastic is that you have the instrument that your software is providing, which a synthesizer instrument. But also, I discovered that not so long ago that you can buy some packages from different companies, and they will record real instrument. So basically, it will be musician recording a series of keys, or
Yeah.
a musical phrase in a real guitar, or like a wind instrument. And
Mhm.
then you can import that to your software, and now you will be able to have instrument that will be real, because you'll be
Yeah.
using those instruments. It's fascinating. It's really
It sounds
fascinating
like it.
what you can do with it, but it's a lot to learn and digest.
Yeah, yeah. And so, how long did it take you to kind of pick up on that once you realized that you were going to
uh
have to need software?
I got the software almost a year ago, and I
Hmm.
look at it, and I mean, I was afraid of starting because I was just stuck, because I'm like, I'm never going to be able to learn all of that, because people say it takes years and blah blah blah. And then I
Hmm.
decided, you know what? If you want the result, you just got to do your work. You got to do
Yeah.
it. And so I studying, I'm very fortunate that actually the reason why I'm using that software, it's because my producer, who is using different software, he knows that software through and through, and he told me this is one of the easiest to learn. So I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I may move to some other software later, but to start with, I'd rather have
Hmm.
the software that is not too crazy. And then he
Right.
gave me a few lessons, the basics, so I don't
Hmm.
have to just go on Google and go on YouTube and see videos, So he gave me
Right.
the basics over a few hours, and then I started experimenting. And it's a constant learning process.
Hmm.
You never stop learning.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good deal. So, tell us a little bit about some of the singles that you brought out recently. So, in your bio, it said that you've accumulated over 12 million views. Starting with, let me look at this, is The Wanderer the latest, or is Eternal Love the latest one?
So those are the views that I got on YouTube a few years back.
Hmm.
Um, when I did now the problem with maintaining the content in YouTube is the time, because now
Yeah.
I'm constantly adding on my plate. It's not only it's the social media and maintenance, because
Hmm.
I don't have anybody who does my social media. I do by myself. So there are the social media
Hmm.
interaction with people, and then there is a composing, and then there is a learning. And so I'm not doing as many, but a few years ago, pretty much at the beginning when I started, I was doing an official video for all my release, and I push
Oh,
them on YouTube. I use a YouTube promotion program to expose
yeah.
my music all over the world.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was blown away. I mean, it was amazing when I was doing those campaign. It was just
Yeah.
like it was like blowing up. I
Yeah.
had a pretty much a million plus views for each of them every time.
Oh
Um,
my.
it's amazing, but it all comes to the financial resources that you have. You have to use your brain and figure out
Yeah.
where you invest right now. What is your goal, what you want to do, and that's what you invest your time and your
Hmm.
finances in. And right now for
Yeah.
me, it's the licensing sync. It's just
Yeah. So is
it's
it
that's
more? I'm sorry. You brought up a good point though, and I want to put this out there because while I got you on here, as a composer and being someone who has succeeded over a million, way over a million views on YouTube, which is one of the biggest platforms in the world, you're saying that it's more important to you right now to license your music. Why is that?
it is not that it's more important. It's my main goal right now. I'm not saying that I'm abandoning my YouTube channel. I just
Yeah.
posted a video that I put myself together uh
Hmm.
for my so people can hear the music that I'm going to license, because that music won't be released on the platform. I'm still going to release music on the platform, not as
Hmm.
much as I did before, because I don't have the time. I'm actually
Right.
planning on releasing in July. I need to compose something new, and I want to release it by the end of July. But
Hmm.
but the licensing sync is really my priority, because I am I feel deep inside this is a drive to have my music associated with visual.
Yeah.
Uh, and you wouldn't believe how many times I've been told since I first started, your music is so cinematic. Oh, that piece should be in a movie. Oh,
Hmm.
that track should be in there. So I finally said, well, let's do it,
Yeah.
and I'm the only one who can make it happen.
Right. Right.
It's just it's a very hard work, long work. You got to produce the goods, and then you got to start connecting with people. You got to start making great
Yeah.
connection, and
Never.
you got to start submitting to brief. Sooner or later, I told someone I'm working with,
Hmm.
uh, I told him, I said, I'm working my butt off. And he said, yeah, I know that, Kiki. And I said, I promise you, one of my tracks, sooner than later, is going to be in a movie. I'm telling you.
Hmm.
And I have no doubt. I know it will. So, but you got to keep pushing.
Now, how important is it to prioritize and to have a goal? Because a lot of people, as we both know, being in the music industry, they want to bring out music because of whatever reason. But some people just want to bring out music. They don't have a goal like I want my music to, for example, I want my music to be in a movie, or I want my music to go over have a million views or a million streams. How important is it to have a goal and to prioritize in order to succeed in that goal?
That's a fantastic question. It's, to me, it's essential to set, you set goals. It doesn't need to be, something that's crazy, non attainable. And
Mhm.
maybe actually, I rephrase, it may be unattainable now, but you have to shoot for the moon. You may not
Yeah.
get there, or you may very well get there, but and then in between, you have to set all those goals in between. That's because setting a goal, to me, is keeping you focused on what you need to do. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of mistake that artists do, like me, indie artists, is they lose the hope and everything, because it's very hard to make it in this business.
Yeah.
Financially, sometimes it becomes not sustainable, and people drop
Hmm.
it. But my producer told me from the get-go, he said, Kiki, the people who succeed is the people who keep going. You get rejection, you get
Yeah.
a door shut, fine, continue and knock on to another door. You never,
Hmm.
you don't want to give up until it becomes impossible, maybe financially, or
Yeah.
you know family reason, or blah blah blah. Then you have
Hmm.
no choice. It's really sad. I mean, there is so much talent out there, so much talent in the music.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of time also, the downfall of artists is they don't put enough time into learning the business side of it.
Oh my God, you hit it on the nose. Oh, thank you for saying
Because
that.
I'll tell you one thing, composing, for me, and I'm sure
Hmm.
it's the same thing if you were asking a lot of composer musician, that's the easy part. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, there may be days where the inspiration is not there. Well, so what?
Hmm.
It's the same thing for anything. You cannot be creative 24/7. It
Right.
doesn't, it happens when it happens. But a lot of people spend a lot of time, and you have to do that, because you have to work on
Hmm.
your craft. You have to work on your music and better your music all the time, by learning, by practicing,
Yeah.
by experimenting. But it is only a little part of it. The rest of it is a business part of it. It's huge. You got to learn about it. You got to
Yeah.
learn how you got to learn the how to you first of all, you have to create, I'm looking for my word, a
Hmm.
persona, a
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah. Image. Image. Hmm. Yeah.
Image. You have to have a brand. It takes time to
Hmm.
create a brand, and a lot of people don't even know what a brand is. It's
Exactly.
I was very lucky from the get-go. I knew what my brand, the kind of music that it was me.
Yeah.
You got to do that, and then you got to learn. There's a lot to learn, to study.
Hmm.
You have to read about the business part of it. If you're into licensing thing, there's so much to learn,
Yeah.
that we don't know. It's a difficult part of it, because people don't. I think it's a mistake, of not spending enough time into the given energy and time into that side of the being a musician.
Right.
You got to have this hat and then that hat. You composer, you're the creative.
Hmm.
Yeah, you use that part of your brain. Yeah, then now you have to use the other part. You know that. It's you
Yeah,
got.
absolutely. You hitting all the points right now, man. I tell you, if I had a dollar for every point you hit, we would both be able to go to the casino. Cause, but no, that's great advice. I have a two-part question before we end our interview, and it's what is the hardest, most difficult piece you've ever had to play on the piano? And then the other one would be, what's the your favorite piece to play on the piano?
Oh my goodness gracious, hard question. So, what is the hardest piece?
Hmm.
Um, Actually, it was not technically the hardest, but it was the hardest psychologically. It was. the piece called Ukraine, Uncharted Waters, because
Mm.
I knew that I had to deliver perfection or close to perfection with my playing, because I was people depending on me, because I had a real musician being
Ooh.
part of that track. So it was very much a challenge for me, because usually when I go to a studio, to the recording studio, I booked a time, and
Mm-hmm.
then I practice. Of course, you cannot show up. You cannot show up and prepare. So I practice at home until I'm sick of hearing that piece, and then I go. I'm ready to go, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. If I stumble, we stop. We record again. You know how it goes in the recording studio. It's very rare that you get it all done in one take, because maybe your
Right.
fingers slip, or you hit two keys instead of one, or you're not happy about the feel of that part. Anyway, for
Mm-hmm.
that specific track, I it just time wise, because everybody was free on a certain day. They were coming at night to record their part. I was recording at noon that same day. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of time to make it happen. So there was a lot of pressure. I
Mm,
had
okay.
to have it right. And I prepare like crazy. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a long piece. It's a 4 minute track. And I
Uh,
managed to do that in an hour, less than an hour. It was done. And then I'm like, woof, done.
yeah.
The the easiest piece, um, it's actually a long time ago. The
Mm-hmm.
first year, it's one of the easiest piece that I ever created. It's because most of the time when I compose, I don't know what's gonna come. I'm talking
Mm.
when I compose my own music for me, for the music platform, because I
Yeah.
let it happen. Whatever comes, I'll start with a couple of keys. Ooh, I like that. And then I'll build up. But for that
Mm-hmm.
piece, which is Notre Dame, it's in April 2019, the cathedral in
Mm-hmm.
Paris burned. And I was watching CNN, and I was watching the flame on the roof, and I'm like, oh, they're
Mm.
doing a movie on I recognized the cathedral, because when I was watching, the tall spire, wooden spire, had not collapsed, and I recognized it. I'm like, oh, they must doing a drama movie on the cathedral, and then I realized it was real, and
Wow.
my heart sank, because I grew up. My youth was spent in France. I
Mm-hmm.
visited several times. I knew that place, and then I went. I cried. I was just so depressed, and I went to bed. And then I woke up the next morning,
Mm-hmm.
and a miracle happened during the nights. I went on my piano, and within half an hour, that piece came out of nowhere. It's just
Wow.
the mystery of the inspiration sometimes, and
Yeah.
it comes. It's magic.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
Yep.
And then lastly, where could well first, what type of words of wisdom would you have for anyone, any aspiring piano? I can never say this word, pianist,
Yeah.
or composer. What type of words of wisdom would
I
you have
would
for them?
say never give up. You trust, believe in yourself, trust
Hmm.
in your gut. It never fails. And never let anyone tell you you're not good enough. Just keep
Mm,
on going. Listen to you. Work hard, but listen, trust, believe in yourself. That's that's the key. You got to believe
yeah.
in yourself. You got to believe in what God gave you, and then you
Mhm.
got to you got to do the best to do what you can with what gave you.
Yeah, what God gave you. Yeah. Amen. Okay. And then lastly, where can people find or contact you if need be on social media? How can they get a
So
hold?
they can. I'm everywhere. So if you go on Google and you type Kiki Cubb, there you go. You're gonna have all of my links there. But I also have a web page, and it's
Mm-hmm.
HTTPS, and the
The
slash, and there
slash.
is no www. It's right, kikicub.com.
.com. So that's www
No,
dot. Oh, it's not.
HTTPS.
Oh, it's
The,
no www. It's just the
no,
H. Okay.
HTTPS two
Uh
dot
huh.
forward slash
Kiki.
and kikicub.com, and then it'll take you.
Oh.
I have a blog. I have no. I'm trying to maintain it. That's something else I have to do. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you can learn a little bit more about myself when you go check my blog on my
Yeah.
page. But yeah,
Okay. Well, like she said, just Google Kiki Cubb. That's the easiest way to do it. Yeah, Google Kiki Cubb, and everything will pop up. All social media, her webpage, her blogs, and so forth. Kiki, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview you tonight.
was my pleasure. Like really,
Yeah,
my fantastic. Thank you so
yeah.
much for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem, man. You really hit some pointers on a lot of the questions I asked. All the questions that I asked are improv, so I don't have anything written down. It just comes to mind. But you did. You hit all the answers on some really key questions. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Uh-huh. And for anyone that's viewing this, it'll be rebroadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So you can all check it out. You can recheck it out. You can repost it, reshare it, and so forth. But we do appreciate all the viewers that tuned in tonight. Um, and I did want to give a shout out to the Celtics because they did win the championship. I had the opportunity to be up that way for about 10 days, and I appreciate the love up there. And I wish I was a Mana or yeah. See, a lot of people don't know what that is, but I know what it is now.
You wouldn't say that in the dead of the winter.
Right, right. Yeah, I wish I was a Mana, but yeah, I had a good time up there in the New England area. But thanks again, Kiki. You have a nice night, and for everybody else to continue to tune in, I'm gonna be doing this Women in Entertainment series all summer long. So
Bye,
thanks again.
everyone.
Yep, and we will see you next time. Bye bye. Later.
Like a lonely road when you're all alone. Just stay focused, stay in your zone, gotta keep control. You can't love nobody else if you can't love yourself. To change our future, be willing for we must change ourselves. I'm on a positive vibe. I got a positive vibe. Living positive vibe. From this positive vibe. Some days I feel like quitting, hard to focus through the pain, but the sun it keeps on rising. Even